The Bone Crushing Kid review, up next on Lone Wolf and Cub. The Bone Crushing Kid is a 1979 kung fu movie directed by Sing Se, who was also one of the action coordinators for the 1976 classic Shaolin Temple. This movie's main protagonist is played by Lung Chin, who people may also remember from 1980's Leg Fighters and 1981's Secret Rivals 3. It also features the famous Violet Pan Yingzi, who starred in One-Armed Swordsman, as well as Miao Tian and James Tian, both of whom have featured in dozens of martial arts films. With the effort these five put in over the course of their respective filmographies, it's no wonder this movie turned out as nicely as it did. So let's get into it. Our story begins with Xiao Shan, played by James Tian, who plays the son of the former Wei Xing gym master. The gym has been out of commission due to infighting after the master passed away, but a couple students from the martial arts school could still be found. Since Xiao Shan believes that it's his right to rule over the school, Gym Master's son starts hunting down other students so that he can get the location of his big brother. When met with a non-helpful response from his big brother's best friend, he ends up attacking him after letting his two henchmen wear him down. As the final blow is being struck, audiences are soon faced with the notion that Tian's character is, in fact, the title character of the film. We then transition to the setting where we eventually meet our hero, who is referred to in the English dub as Xiao Fu, played by Lung Chin. Xiao Fu is an orphan who was taken in as a student by Mr. Hai, leader of a theater troupe. Xiao Fu is repeatedly mistreated by Mr. Hai, his wife, and some of the other students. His only friends are Xiao Hua, played by Violet Pan Yingzi, and an old man played by Miao Tian, who has worked for the troupe for several years. What's more, it's established early on that Xiao Fu has some amount of acrobatic skill and pain tolerance. Despite his ambitions on leaving the troupe to learn kung fu under a proper teacher, Xiao Fu has a few bad run-ins with Mr. Shi, a supposedly important man who Mr. Hai is trying to impress with his theater troupe. This makes his living with the troupe until then that much more frustrating. Even so, Xiao Fu eventually gets sneakily backed up by the old man after Mr. Chow, one of Xiao Shan's underlings, orders his men to beat the both of them up during a food delivery they were on. Upon realizing that the old man is the big brother who Xiao Shan is looking for, Mr. Chow orders his men to back off since he decides instead to inform Xiao Shan of this new development. From there, the movie kicks into high gear as it shows off the back and forth struggle between two groups, Xiao Shan with his henchmen, who end up snooping on the troupe to find their former colleague, and Xiao Fu with the old man, who both realize that they can help each other as a student and teacher duo. The Bone Crushing Kid has a lot of good content to offer both casual newcomers and avid kung fu film watchers alike. Admittedly, it had me worried at some moments that it was going to drop off in terms of how good it was, but despite the problems I thought the movie had, it still manages to shine through as a solid flick with strong qualities. So let's talk about them. The pros. Lung Chin, Violet Pan Yingzi, and Miao Tian contributed to a very likable core cast. With most of the other people in this movie basically being written to be hated and disliked, it was endearing to see how their three characters genuinely cared for each other. With Xiao Fu and Xiao Hua, I appreciated this movie showing that the two were good friends without some forced romance compared to what we usually see. And as for the old man, I really dug how he never hesitated to help Xiao Fu no matter what jams they ended up getting into together. Another pro that I could add was how dynamic Lung Chin, Miao Tian, and James Tian were with their roles. With Xiao Fu, despite his character being somewhat dense at times, this film makes it clear that he ends up learning a lot, and not just about fighting, but also about self-restraint and the reasons why kung fu needs to be used. With the old man, Miao Tian pulls off a nice balancing act between the playful Sifu who puts his student through grueling lessons without remorse, and a serious master who 1. Understands the importance of kung fu as a discipline, and 2. Protects his student to the best of his ability. As for James Tian, he does fantastic work in putting on this air of surface-level kindness that Xiao Shan uses to get information out of people who he suspects could help him find his mark. And when Xiao Shan doesn't get his way, he's got no problem flipping his switch to embrace the cold-blooded villainy that his character truly has. Lastly, for what appears to be a lower budget film, The action in this one is superb. Several fights and training sessions throughout the film have some top-notch choreography. Even some stunt work beyond the trading of punches and kicks was excellent enough to make me realize how underutilized Lung Chin was in leg fighters. Plus, despite the usual trope of the protagonist winning against the villain in these movies, James Tien's beastly performance in the last fight had me legitimately worried that the villain would actually win for once. You just have to see how that final battle goes down. The cons. Remember when I said that Xiao Fu can be somewhat dense at times? Well, as much as I appreciate character flaws and seeing people grow from them, I was kind of hoping that his wising up would have kicked in somewhat sooner. I get that Xiao Fu is naive as a kung fu student, but as the main character, there were multiple times where he says and does some questionable things that made me wonder whether he's the right guy to be in the protagonist role. Another con I had was this weird and uncomfortable abduction subplot where Mr. Shi orders his right-hand man, Mr. Liu, to have Xiao Hua kidnapped so that he could have his way with her. What made it even weirder was that while the kidnappers made a mistake by going after Mr. Hai's wife instead, it seemed as if she wanted to be abducted. And while Xiao Fu's rescue attempt does work to build up enough of Mr. Shi's animosity to move the plot forward, I just felt like there could have been a better and more interesting way to do it. This leads me to my final con, which is that beyond the main villain and his followers, none of the other people in this movie who've committed misdeeds against Xiao Fu get the punishment that they deserve. It's not like I wanted those characters to die, but some kind of comeuppance for all of them would have been more satisfying, especially after all of the nonsense that they put our hero through. Overall, I felt that this kung fu film was a fun surprise that I would definitely be down to rewatch, and after seeing it, I'm glad that I got a better sense of what Lung Chin could do beyond my first impressions of him in leg fighters. With that said, between all of its highs and lows, I'm going to give this movie a decent 7 kicks. What do you all think of The Bone Crushing Kid? Was it to your liking, or did you feel that it deserves a lower score? Whatever your thoughts are, comment below and let us know. Don't forget to like the video, and if you're new here, be sure to subscribe for more content. This is DK from Lone Wolf and Cubs signing off. Thanks for watching, everybody.